lizard.
Wild and wild.
Trying to catch a butterfly.
Wild and wonderful. Monster.
Felt like a butterfly.
Ladies, gentlemen, and kinsects of all ages, our glaives have gotten a fair bit more powerful and, importantly, just also more comfortable to play in Title Update 4. We had a patch with this update that made some adjustments to how you can combo with Insect Glaive, which are some really big deal changes. There was also some damage adjustments for a couple of attacks that actually shifts our best combo a little bit, so we'll talk about that stuff, of course. And then we've had a whole load of new equipment between Title Update 4, the Lumenhim Festival, and now Arch-Tempered Jin dahaad releasing as well. So the main focus today is going over all of the new best builds that you can make with Insect Glaive, both in terms of the ones based around lots and lots of RNG requiring gear, which are the technical peak of the weapon, but also some builds that are the best you can do at different parts of the RNG scale as well. So no matter how lucky you are or aren't, there will absolutely be a crackin' build in this video for you to use. That said, let's start off with the actual weapon change stuff just to knock it out really quickly here. The big main thing is that you can now trigger descending slash with the attack combo button. That being triangle and circle on PlayStation, Y and B on Xbox, or left and right click on keyboard and mouse. You need to have red extract at minimum to do this, of course, and it gains charge levels depending on what point of a combo you release it at, but generally speaking, after 2 attacks, hitting the button will be an ideal use of it. This means that we aren't stuck with the claw grip or with controllers that have extra buttons on them just to make the weapon comfortable to use, because we can just combo into the attack now instead, and it's actually much more efficient in one specific combo that we'll be talking about as well. Because Insect Glaive did also get a number related buff, specifically sidestep slash and sidestep slash combo, which are the moving triangle inputs. These were buffed a little bit, and they attack faster as well when you have all 3 extracts too, which is the most important part. This wasn't a massive damage increase in itself, but it is enough that with the speed increase as well, it is now a part of our best bread and butter combo, which is, while in focus mode, left or right on the left stick while pressing triangle, then back on the left stick while pressing triangle for sidestep combos backstep variation, and then descending slash out of that. After descending slash, you can either repeat this and do the combo on loop, or you can break into rising spiral slash if there is an opening that presents itself. And it's worth noting that there are more moments now to use rising spiral slash than there were before, because the big change they did for it here is they gave us hyper armor during that attack, so you no longer get flinched during rising spiral slash itself, which is a really big deal. All in all, Insect Glaive has gotten a lot of functional buffs and a change to our best combo to loop with this patch, so Title Update 4 is treating us quite well even before we get to the builds. That said, we need to talk about weapons real quick here, and Gogma Artian weapons are very much the top of the pack for Insect Glaive without a doubt. Element builds aren't crazy far behind at this stage, but the best output for us still comes from raw attack focusing builds that just have an element on the side. So ideally, what you want to do is make Artian weapons that have elements on them and use whichever element Artian your target is weakest to when you start a hunt. But if you can only be bothered to perfect the RNG for one specific Artian weapon, you want to go for Dragon Element, as that is the most generally applicable to the difficult monsters. The best Gogma Artian setups that we'll be using for all these builds use the attack focus when you create the weapon itself. Then what you want on top of that is 4 attack reinforcements with 1 sharpness boost reinforcement. When upgrading those, the maximum that you can achieve is 2 attack boost EX, 2 attack boost 3, and then sharpness boost EX as well. Of those, the only one that is really mandatory is the sharpness boost EX. You need to have that, like, functionally speaking. The others just make the build do more damage. And it's also worth noting that getting an affinity EX roll instead of the attack 3 is only very, very marginally worse. So if you have an affinity roll instead, it's not like the end of the world or anything. Outside of that, our Kinsect Choice has not changed. Just to blast through this, Arkmaiden and Fiddlebricks are both equal in most regards, and are the best mostly due to having Harvest Extract and Fast Charge as their Kinsect bonus. Our main goal with our Kinsect is the ability to generate our extracts quickly, so those are a must. Between the two, Arkmaiden is technically slightly ahead because it deals blunt damage instead of severing damage, so Arkmaiden can occasionally get a KO if you're attacking the head with it, as rare as that will be. That said, let's get into the builds themselves, and the order that we go through these will be a little bit different to how I normally do them, and that's just because of how the builds for Insect Glaive have worked out. This order just sort of makes the most sense, so we'll start with the best builds that you can make without getting a set or group bonus contribution from your weapon, also known as the the best crafted build. For the actual armor, you want the new analytic eye helmet. I know it's a crazy armor piece to be using, but for Insect Glaive, this is actually uniquely perfect for this setup. We also have the new Udra Gamma chest, Raid Out Beta gloves, and Raid Out Gamma waist, and the new dahaad Gamma pants as well, which is quite fun. The main things that we get from this combination is the Raid Out 2-set bonus, Raid Out's voltage, and this extends the duration of latent power, making it much more viable to actually use and work around. And then the Lord Soul group bonus, which is very important as well. It is 5% bonus weapon attack until you trigger the guts effect each life, as the quickest way of explaining its offensive value. The talisman for this set then, if you want to use purely crafted stuff, would be the new upgraded Agitator charm, the Agitator 3 charm, which is quite tasty. If you have a God Roll talisman, which in this case would be 3 attack boost and 1 weakness exploit, or 1 agitator, or 1 latent power, or 1 burst. Literally any of those would do the job in this set, and they would all be equally the same. And then having it be a rarity 8 talisman so that it has a weapon slot on it, so you can stick in a 4th rank of attack boost decoration. If you only have the crafted talisman, to change it from my setup, you would take out the challenger decoration from the armor and stick in a tenderizer jewel instead for the final rank of weakness exploit. It's worth noting as well that I'll be doing math based around the God Roll talisman, but the crafted talisman version of this build is only around a 2.7% decrease from this. That may sound a bit large compared to most weapons and their God Roll talismans, but that's just how Insect Glaive works, due to the fact that we can hit 5 ranks of attack boost and 5 ranks of crit boost when using a God Roll talisman. That said, the build is still extremely good with a crafted talisman instead. For the mantle then, Corrupted Mantle for pure offensive capabilities, but I'm personally a really big fan of Rocksteady Mantle, especially with 3 counterstrike in the build, as it gives us another way to activate that by being hit while you wear that mantle. Otherwise, it is just a massive damage reduction while active that also lets you ignore flinches. For decorations then, and the weapon, this will be the same for every single build today. It's just sort of the correct way to build Insect Glaive for the decorations, which is a flight combo jewel. So the airborne skill, which is 10% bonus damage on attacks where your feet are not on the ground. The main thing that this counts for us for is Rising Spiral Slash, as that is our most damaging move, but it also applies to some parts of Descending Slash too, which is quite neat. For what to combo this with, if you're using the God Roll talisman like I am, you always want to combo it with 1 rank of attack boost, as that makes it the 5th rank of attack, which is a percent boosting rank, so it's very important. If you are using crafted talismans, you can still combo with attack just for the minor boost of attack rank 1, or you can combo with handicraft instead for a little bit more sharpness. It entirely depends on personal preferences. For the other weapon decoration slots, just make them add up to critical boost 5, that's what you want to use them for. For armor decorations then, we have 1 counter jewel to finish off counterstrike to 3 ranks, 1 mighty jewel to finish off maximum might to 3 ranks, 1 challenger jewel for a little bit of agitator, and then again, if you are using the crafted talisman, you would swap this out for the final rank of weakness exploit. Then we have 1 throttle jewel to get latent power to the maximum of 5 ranks, and we also have 1 earplugs jewel for 1 rank of that skill too, as that is quite important for us, because when combined with the natural rank of earplugs we get with 3 extract buffs up, that blocks the vast majority of monster roars in the game, with the exception of things like gogmazios and dahaad, unfortunately, but this applies to the majority of monsters. The full skill list for this then is 5 attack boost, 5 critical boost, airborne, 5 weakness exploit, 5 latent power, 3 counterstrike, 3 maximum might, 1 agitator, 1 burst, 1 foray as a bonus, but we aren't applying poison or paralysis, so that will very rarely be active at all, 1 rank of earplugs, the Raid Out 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus as well. For the math on this build, 257 attack on the weapon itself, the Lord Soul bonus is an extra 5% of weapon attack, and attack boost 5 is another 4% of weapon attack. These percent bonuses do not scale off of each other, only off of the base 257. So together that brings us to 280.13. We add 9 for attack boost 5's flat bonus, plus 25 for counterstrike 3, which should be incredibly high uptime between the fact that we can activate it with offset attacks and just like being hit by monsters, which does happen eventually, plus 8 for burst 1, and then another 2.6 for agitator rank 1, counted at 65% uptime, which is generally how much we count the monster being enraged on this channel. That puts us at a total attack of 324.73. For affinity, Gogma Artian with attack focus is negative 10% affinity by default. We gain 30% affinity from weakness exploit 5, then another 33% for latent power rank 5, which we count as 66% uptime with the Raid Out 2-set bonus, as that is pretty much the minimum possible active time just from pure time passing. It can easily scale up from that if you get hit by the monster a few times, but that's not what we're going to be counting around here. 30% affinity from maximum might 3, which is as easy to keep up with Insect Glaive as pretty much anything else, because we don't use any stamina costing attacks as part of our main combos, and then an extra little 1.95% from agitator agitator rank 1 at 65% uptime for a total affinity of 84.95%. We've got 5 ranks of critical boost, so critical hits are a 40% damage multiplier. 84.95% chance of a crit happening would be an average damage increase then of 33.98%. Apply that to our attack total and we get 435.07. Increase that by a further 32% for white sharpness damage modifier, and it goes up to 574.3 effective raw. It's also worth mentioning that this still gets boosted by a further 10% for any attacks that activate the airborne skill, which makes them immensely powerful. For comparison, the best build from before Title Update 4 was 524.1 effective raw, so it is quite a big upgrade, even if a lot of it is just from the weapon itself. That to say, if you already had our best build from before Title Update 4, just slotting in a Gogma Artian weapon will do a lot of heavy lifting, but this is an improvement that you can work towards without relying on set and group bonuses from the weapon. Next up then, we have the first of our RNG requiring builds. This build works with either a crafted talisman or an RNG talisman, but it does require a specific set and group bonus on the Gogma Artian weapon, and it's worth noting that this set is only worth using over the first one if you are properly element matching your target. If you're just using a dragon weapon against something that's not that weak to dragon, it's actually not worth it over the previous set, but if you are properly element matching, this set becomes better. That said, the bonuses that we get from the Gogma Artian weapon are going to be the Shagama set bonus and the Lord Soul group bonus. The armor for this one is the Ray Dao Gamma helmet, the new Udra Gamma chest, the Guardian Ebony Odogaron Beta gloves transcended up for the decoration slots, and then specifically Gogmazios Alpha waist and Gogmazios Alpha pants. The main things that this gives us are the Ebony Odogaron 2 set bonus for burst boost, which is quite useful, especially because we will have burst active all the time, so it's just 8 bonus attack pretty much permanently. The Shagama 2 set bonus we have as well, which is 10 bonus attack for 3 minutes after you get an offset or power clash. So if you are confident you can successfully offset once per 3 minutes, this will be 100% uptime, and that is not a huge amount to ask for, but our final build will not be using this, and it does have higher offensive potential than this one, at least with raw attack. This armor configuration then also gets us Gogmazios 2 set bonus as a sort of extra bonus, and while this isn't an element focused build, that is still an extra 20% element and 20 flat element when a monster is enraged, which is far from negligible. And then we also get the Lord's Soul group bonus as well, so 3 different separate set bonuses, and then also a group bonus as well. For the talisman on this one, the god roll would be 3 attack boost and 1 weakness exploit, or 1 latent power as the armor skill, and rarity 8, so you can fit in the 4th rank of attack boost as well. If you do not have that god roll talisman, the latent power charm that has 3 ranks of latent power is the best crafted replacement for 3 ranks of latent power, and if you do that, you would drop one of my latent power decorations and replace it with the final rank of weakness exploit that you would lose from losing my talisman. For reference, the crafted talisman variation of this build is around 1.9% lower effective raw, so it's really not a huge difference for this one. For the decorations then, weapon slots are the same as before, flight/attack for the top one, then critical boost 5 from your other slots. For armor, 3 different tenderizer jewels to help you get to rank 5 of weakness exploit, as that is very, very important. Then we also have 1 throttle jewel for some latent power, 1 counter jewel to finish off counterstrike, 2 mighty jewels to finish off maximum might, and then an earplugs jewel for the 1 rank of that skill as well, and then you have some 1 slot sockets to do with as you please. The full skill list is 5 attack boost, 5 critical boost, airborne, 5 weakness exploit, 3 peak performance, which is just a bonus skill, but seeing as you will want to be full health as often as possible against hard monsters at least, and Insect Glaive doesn't take chip damage from general combat, I have this at an expected uptime around 50%. We also have 3 ranks of burst, 3 counterstrike, 3 maximum might, 3 divine blessing for my use of the 1 slots, 1 agitator, 1 latent power, which we will now be counting as 50% uptime because we do not have the Ray Dao 2 set bonus, then 1 stamina surge as a bonus, 1 earplugs, and 1 shock absorber from my choice of 1 slot usage as well. We also have the Ebony Odogaron 2 set bonus, Gogmazios 2 set bonus, the Shagama 2 set bonus, and then also the Lord Soul group bonus as well. For the math on this one, we will go much quicker as you have already seen my math process, 257 attack up to 280.13 from the percent bonuses. Then we add on our flat attack bonuses as well to hit a total attack of 351.73. For affinity, negative 10% on the weapon, and we get up to 56.95% from the rest of our increases. We have full ranks of critical boost, so 56.95% chance of that applying is an average damage increase of 22.78%. Apply that to our attack total for 431.85, increase that by a further 32% for white sharpness modifier, and you get 570.1 effective raw, which again is increased by a further 10% for any attacks that trigger the airborne skill. Something of note here is that this actually does place this set at very slightly lower effective raw than the previous one that we just talked about, but on the whole, in practice, it is a better build. It relies less on latent power to reach its potential, so the damage is more consistent in actual combat scenarios, and it also has the Gogmazios 2-set bonus, which doesn't factor into effective raw, but will be a nice chunky increase to our element damage on the side. For comparison, our normal element amount in the other build is 280 from the weapon itself, increased to 340 because we have 1 rank of burst in these sets, and that is 60 bonus element. This build specifically, however, against enraged monsters, you would increase the 280 base element by 20% to make it 336. Then you would add a flat 20 on top of that to get 356. Then we also have to add the burst bonus on top of that too, and this build has burst 3 instead of burst 1 like the other builds, so burst 3 is 100 bonus element, and we hit 456, or a true element of 45.6. Essentially, this build gets 34% more element overall against enraged monsters, which translates to about 22% bonus element on average through a hunt. So the side grade here is very slightly less raw attack for a decent chunk more element, which means that it's better for things that are extremely elementally weak, like Gogmazios, for example. But I do want to make clear note here that again, this only really matters, it's only really worth using if you are correctly element matching your target's weaknesses. Then for our final build of the day, this one is only creatable with Gogma Artian set and group bonus RNG factored in, and it also requires a semi-god roll talisman to use as well, just due to how the decorations work out in this build, but this specific configuration of gear hits the highest potential effective raw. It will not beat the element one if you're element matching against element weak monsters, but if you just want to use one insect glaive, this is the best build to do that with. That said, the set and group bonus that you need from your weapon is gore magala set bonus for that sweet affinity gain, and Lord Soul group bonus for the bonus % weapon attack that gives us. For the armor then, Radau Gamma Helmet, new Udra Gamma Chest Piece, Guardian Ebony Odogron Beta Gloves, and Legs transcended up for the slot upgrades, and then the Gore Magala Alpha Waist specifically. For the talisman on this one, the main requirement is that it needs to have at least 1 armor decoration slot so that we can get the full 3 ranks of antivirus inside of this setup. Otherwise, it is not worth using this over the previous builds. The proper god roll talisman for this would be 3 attack boost, and then either 1 weakness exploit or 1 agitator as the second skill instead. And again, it does need to also be a rarity 8 talisman so you can get the 4th rank of attack boost from the slot. With at least 1 armor slot socket again, which does need to be there. I really need to drive that home because we need that final rank of antivirus. For the weapon decorations then, we have the same as normal, flight/attack combo jewel, critical boost 5 from the other slots. For armor decorations, 4 tenderizer jewels so we can hit full 5 ranks of weakness exploit, 1 challenger jewel, and it's worth noting that this can be replaced with 1 rank of flare as a jewel because flare is quite decent after the recent update, and losing 1 rank of agitator for 1 rank of flare in this setup isn't really a loss so much as just a side grade if you prefer the way that that skill works. And we also have 2 mighty jewels to finish off maximum might, and a counter jewel to finish off counterstrike to rank 3 too. We also need 2 sane jewels in here to get antivirus to rank 3, which is why the talisman requirement is what it is. The full skill list on this one is 5 attack boost, 5 critical boost, 5 weakness exploit, 3 counterstrike, 3 maximum might, 3 divine blessing, though one of those ranks is from my spare talisman 1 slot, 3 antivirus, 2 constitution, 2 agitator, 1 burst, 1 stamina surge, 1 rank of earplugs, then the Ebony Odogoron 2-set bonus, the Gore Magala 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus as well on top of that. Blasting through the math for this one just one final time, 257 attack on the weapon itself bumped up to 280.13 from our % bonuses. Add on our flat attack increases for a total of 335.33, negative 10% affinity as a base on the weapon, up to 78.25% with our affinity bonuses added on top. We have full critical boost, so 78.25% chance of triggering that bonus is an average increase of 31.3%. Apply that to our attack total for 440.29, increased by a further 32% for the white sharpness modifier up to 581.2. And again, this number goes up by another 10% for any attack that triggers the airborne skill. This means that this build is our best of the day by effective raw measurements, but only by a relatively small margin. All in all, Insect Glaive seems to be the only weapon that I have done this type of math for so far, where the variation between having set and group bonuses from your weapon or not having them is actually not quite that huge, but it is still an upgrade, and an upgrade is an upgrade at the end of the day. All that to say, all of these builds are fantastic. You will do great with any of them, and the one that requires the least RNG is only like 1.2% weaker than the one that requires the most RNG. So it is entirely up to you how much you think that is worth it. That just about does it for today then, everyone. Everything you need to know about the changes for Insect Glaive in Title Update 4 and the new best builds possible from all of the equipment and the systems that we've had put into the game over the last week and a bit. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy using these builds for yourselves in game as well. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.